The last goodbye John stood alone in the quiet graveyard. The sky was gray, and soft rain fell over the stones and green grass. His black coat was wet, but he did not care. He was not afraid of the rain, or the cold, or even the sadness. He was afraid of forgetting. He looked down at the name on the stone, Emma Watson, loving wife. John's eyes filled with tears as he read the words again and again. It had only been 1 month since the accident. 1 month since his world changed. Forever. Emma was gone, and nothing could bring her back. Or so he thought. He knelt by the grave and touched the cold stone with his hand. "Emma," he whispered, "I miss you every day. I wish you could come back. I wish I could see you one last time." The rain fell harder now, and thunder sounded far away. The graveyard was empty. No birds sang. No one else was around. It was just John and his memories. He closed his eyes and remembered Emma's laugh, the way she smiled, the stories they shared. They had planned to travel the world together. They had planned to grow old together. But all those dreams were gone. John stood up slowly, feeling tired and heavy. He looked at the stone one last time and took a deep breath. "Goodbye, Emma," he said. "I will always love you." As he turned to leave, he felt a strange feeling. The air around him grew cold, much colder than before. He looked back, but saw nothing. He walked forward, his shoes making soft sounds on the wet grass. Suddenly, John stopped. He felt someone touch his shoulder. The touch was light, gentle, and warm, but it made his heart jump. He turned around quickly, expecting to see another person in the graveyard. Okay? Maybe a stranger. But no one was there. John's heart began to beat faster. "Is someone here?" He called out, his voice shaking a little. Only the rain answered him, falling hard and steady. He tried to walk again, but then he heard a sound behind him. A soft, familiar voice said his name. "John." He froze. He knew that voice. It was impossible, but it was real. He turned slowly, his eyes wide with shock. Standing behind him was Emma. She looked just as she did the last time he saw her. Her hair was dark and a little wet from the rain. Her dress was white and her eyes were shining. She looked alive. No, she was alive. John could not move. He could not speak. His mind told him this was a dream, a trick, or a ghost. But his heart said something different. Emma smiled at him. It was the same gentle smile that made him fall in love with her years ago. "Don't be afraid," she said softly. "I'm here." John took a small step back. Ha! He wanted to run, to scream, to cry, but he did not. He looked at her face, searching for any sign that this was not real. "Emma," he whispered, "is it really you?" She nodded, her eyes full of love and sadness. "Yes, John, it's me." John felt his knees go weak. He wanted to touch her, to hold her, but he was afraid. How could this be happening? She was dead. He had buried her himself. Emma reached out her hand. "It's okay, John, you're not dreaming." He slowly reached out, his fingers shaking, and touched her hand. It was warm and soft, just as he remembered. Tears ran down John's face. "How are you here? How is this possible?" Emma looked down for a moment, her smile fading a little. "I don't know. I remember the accident, and then nothing. But now I am here with you." John did not understand, but he did not care. He hugged Emma, feeling her arms around him again. For a moment, everything was perfect. But as he held her, he felt something strange. Emma's heart was not beating. Her body felt cold inside, even though her skin was warm. She did not blink or breathe. John pulled away, confused and scared. "Emma, what's wrong?" Emma looked into his eyes. "I am here, John, but I think something is different." The rain stopped. The world was silent. John looked at Emma and wondered if this was a miracle, a dream, or something much more dangerous. Behind them, in the darkness, a shadow moved. Someone or something was watching them. John did not see it. He was too busy looking at Emma, the love of his life who had returned from the grave. But at that moment, he knew his world would never be the same again. John could not sleep that night. He sat in his small living room, staring at Emma, who now sat across from him on the old gray sofa. A candle flickered between them. The rain tapped softly on the window. Outside, the world was quiet and dark, as if holding its breath. Emma was quiet too. She looked around the room as if she was seeing everything for the first time. Her eyes studied the family photos, the bookshelf, the clock on the wall. She ran her fingers across the sofa's fabric, almost in wonder. John watched her, not sure if he should be happy or afraid. Emma's face was gentle, but there was something different now. Her eyes, which once were soft brown, now glowed faintly golden in the candlelight. Every few minutes, the golden light grew brighter and then faded like a pulse. "Do you remember anything?" John finally asked, his voice soft and nervous. "After the accident?" Emma shook her head slowly. "No. Everything was dark. Then I woke up at my grave. I heard you calling me, and I followed your voice." She paused, staring at her hands. "I feel strange, John, like I don't belong here, but I'm glad I found you." John wanted to believe everything was normal, but nothing was. He kept thinking about her cold skin, her heartbeat that was missing, and her voice still sweet, but sometimes echoing, as if another person was speaking at the same time. Suddenly, the clock on the wall started ticking loudly. John had never heard it tick so clearly before. Emma's head snapped up, and her eyes flashed gold again. The candle flame danced wildly. Emma turned to the window. "Someone is outside," she said, her voice calm but serious. John's heart jumped. He stood up and walked to the window, but saw only darkness and rain. He laughed a little to hide his fear. "It's just your imagination, Emma." But Emma shook her head. "No. Something followed me here." At that moment, the TV in the corner turned on by itself. The screen was full of static, but strange words flashed across it in a language John had never seen before. The radio on the shelf crackled and played a slow, sad melody. John's phone began to buzz with a message. "Welcome home, Emma." He stared at the screen, cold fear in his chest. He hadn't told anyone Emma was alive. No one should know. No walked over and touched the phone. Instantly, the message disappeared. The radio and TV went silent. She turned to John. "Something is not right. I can feel it. My mind is full of voices and pictures I don't understand. There are places I have never seen, machines, stars, cities made of glass." She covered her ears. "It's like someone else is living inside my head." John gently took her hand. "Emma, you're safe with me. Whatever is happening, we'll face it together." Emma tried to smile, but she was afraid. She touched her chest, searching for her heartbeat. "I want to be Emma again. I want to remember us. But sometimes, I remember other things. Cold places. Empty rooms, metal walls." Outside, the wind howled louder. John closed the curtains, feeling like they were not alone in the house. He kept Emma close, but he could feel the fear growing between them. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. 3 slow, heavy knocks. John's blood went cold. Emma stood up, moving like she was pulled by an invisible force. "They're here," she whispered. John grabbed her arm, holding her back. "Who is here, Emma? Who followed you?" Emma looked at him, her eyes glowing gold and full of tears. "I don't know, but I think they want me back." The knocks grew louder. The TV turned on again, The radio started to buzz. The room was full of strange noises and lights. John knew this was not a dream. Whatever brought Emma back was not finished. Yet, something had followed her from the other side, and it wanted her. Or maybe it wanted both of them. He took a deep breath and got ready to open the door, not knowing what waited for him on the other side. When the sun finally rose, it did not feel like morning. The house was quiet, but not peaceful. John had stayed awake all night. He sat on the kitchen chair, holding a cold cup of coffee. His eyes red from worry and no sleep. Emma was sitting by the window, watching the street. She wore John's old sweater, but it looked strange on her now, almost like it belonged to someone else. The golden light in her eyes was gone, but she stared outside with a deep sadness and confusion. John tried to act normal. He cooked breakfast eggs and toast, just like Emma used to love. The kitchen filled with the smell of warm food, but Emma only watched, never moving from the window. "Emma, come eat something," John said softly. She turned her head slowly and shook it. "I'm not hungry." John forced a smile, not even a little. "It's your favorite." Emma looked at the food, then at John. "I can't taste anything," she whispered. "It's like eating air." John's heart broke a little more. He pushed his plate away and sat beside her. "It's okay. Maybe you just need more time. Everything will feel normal soon." But deep down, John was not sure. Everything in the house felt changed. The neighbors noticed it too. Old Mrs. Green, who lived next door, saw Emma through the window and stopped on the sidewalk. Her eyes grew wide, and she hurried away without waving. Later, 2 neighborhood kids rode by on their bikes and stared at the house, pointing and whispering. People who had come to Emma's funeral now acted like they were seeing a ghost. Emma stayed inside all day, moving from window to window, watching the world with silent eyes. She avoided the mirrors. Once, John caught her standing in front of the bathroom mirror, touching her face and turning her head from side to side, like she was searching for something that was missing at night. The strange thing started again. The old radio on the kitchen counter turned on by itself, playing a soft humming sound, almost like a voice singing from far away. The TV flashed strange shapes and numbers for just a second before returning to normal. John's phone buzzed, showing messages with codes and symbols he did not understand. Emma seemed drawn to the radio. She sat beside it and closed her eyes, listening as if she understood the secret song. Her fingers tapped the table in time with the strange melody. "Emma, what are you doing?" John asked. She opened her eyes, looking surprised. "I don't know. I feel like I remember this music, but I've never heard it before. It makes me feel safe." John tried to change the subject, but the tension was everywhere. That night, John dreamed of Emma. In his dream, she walked through endless metal hallways. Her face was sad, and her hands glowed with soft blue light. She called out his name, but her voice sounded broken, like a machine. Then, a shadow moved behind her shape, with no face and 1,000 blinking eyes. He woke up sweating, his heart pounding. Emma was standing at the foot of the bed, staring at him. "John," she said quietly, "do you hear the voices?" He shook his head, not sure what to say. "They call me by another name," Emma whispered. "Sometimes I forget who I am. Sometimes I remember things that aren't mine. Cities made of glass, machines that speak, cold stars in the dark. Am I still Emma, John? Or am I something else?" John reached out and held her hand. It was cold. He tried to be strong. "You are Emma. You're my wife. Whatever is happening, we'll face it together." Emma nodded, but tears ran down her cheeks. She looked at her reflection in the window and touched her face, as if hoping to find the answer there outside. The street was empty. A car drove by, headlights shining into the house for a moment. In the beam of light, John saw a shadow move quickly past the window, then vanish. He rushed outside, searching the yard and street, but found nothing. Only the wind and the strange feeling that someone or something was watching their house. Inside, Emma sat alone, listening to the radio's secret song, her eyes shining softly in the darkness. John locked the doors and windows, but he knew locks would not keep out the thing that had followed Emma home. Midnight came, and the house was silent. Shadows filled the rooms, stretching long and thin across the floor. John lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, but he could not sleep. Every creak and whisper in the darkness made him sit up and listen. Emma was not in bed. She hadn't slept for days, not even closed her eyes. John rose quietly, wrapped himself in his robe, and walked down the dark hallway, calling her name. He found her standing in the kitchen, staring out the window into the black backyard. Her hair hung loose, and her face looked pale in the moonlight. "Emma," he whispered, "come back to bed." She didn't turn around. Instead, she opened the back door and stepped outside. The air was cold, and the grass wet with dew, but Emma walked barefoot. Moving quietly across the yard, John hesitated, then followed her, his heart beating fast. The neighborhood was silent. Only the distant sound of a dog barking somewhere far away. Emma walked to the edge of the trees behind the house and stopped. John watched as she knelt down, dug her hand into the dirt, and pulled out something small and shiny, a strange device, shaped like an egg, glowing faintly blue. She pressed the device to her chest. Suddenly, a soft light poured out, covering her body in a gentle blue glow. Her eyes flashed gold. She began to speak, but not in English. Her voice was smooth and musical, full of strange clicks and sounds that made no sense to John. It was like a song from another world. John hid behind a tree, recording everything on his phone. He knew this was important, but he was scared. Emma spoke to the device for a long minute, then fell silent. The device blinked twice and turned off. She looked up at the stars and whispered a single word: home. John's hands were shaking. As he crept back inside, he sent the recording to his old friend, Dr. Williams, who worked at a science lab in the city. "Please," John wrote in the message, "tell me what this means." He did not sleep the rest of the night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Emma, glowing blue, talking to something he could not understand. In the morning, his phone buzzed with a reply. Dr. Williams sounded worried. The message said, "John, this isn't any language I know. There are patterns in the sound like computer code or an alien message. Are you sure this is Emma? Call me as soon as you can." John's hands shook as he read the words. He looked at Emma, who was now sitting quietly at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. He sat down across from her, trying to act calm. "Emma, what did you do last night?" Emma looked up, her eyes lost and tired. "I had a dream. I saw a city made of light and machines taller than mountains. I heard voices calling me, asking for help. When I woke up, I found that device in the ground. I don't know how I knew it was there." John tried to smile, but his fear was growing. "Did you talk to someone?" Emma nodded. "I think so. I think I spoke to something far away. Or maybe it spoke through me. I don't understand any of it. My head feels like it's full of other people's memories." John squeezed her hand. "We'll figure this out. I sent a recording to Dr. Williams. Maybe he can help." Emma stared at him, and for a moment, her eyes flashed gold again. "John, what if I'm not really me anymore? What if I'm something else?" John shook his head. "You're still Emma. We'll find a way to fix this." But deep down, he knew the truth was much stranger and more dangerous than he wanted to believe. Suddenly, the lights in the house flickered. The radio turned on by itself, playing the same strange melody as before, only louder this time. The window shook, and a cold wind rushed through the kitchen. On the kitchen wall, in the glass reflection, John saw something moving, a shadow, tall and thin, standing right behind Emma. He spun around, but there was nothing there. Emma hugged herself, shivering. They're getting closer, John. I can feel them. John knew the time for hiding was over. He needed answers fast. He reached for his phone, ready to call Dr. Williams. But the device suddenly went black, the screen filling with alien letters. He looked at Emma. Her golden eyes were full of fear. The message was clear. They are coming. A heavy storm filled the sky that night. Rain hit the windows in sharp bursts. Lightning flashed, and thunder rolled through the small town. John paced the living room, hands shaking. Emma sat silent on the floor, staring at the strange blue device in her hand. She hadn't moved for hours. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the house into darkness. John lit a candle. Its tiny flame threw big shadows on the walls. He heard a distant hum, low and unnatural, coming from somewhere deep beneath the floor. The old radio crackled to life, spitting out fragments of words in a dozen languages, then clear and loud. John's name. He nearly dropped the candle. Emma's head snapped up. It's time, she said, her voice sounding older, echoing with something not her own. She stood slowly, her eyes shining brighter than ever before. John swallowed hard. Emma, what's happening to you? Please, tell me the truth. She blinked, and tears rolled down her cheeks, shining gold in the candlelight. I wish I could explain. I remember the accident. I remember the pain. But then, I remember waking up. Somewhere else, her voice grew soft and far away. It was cold and dark and empty. But I wasn't alone. There were voices, machines, I think. They studied me. They spoke in thoughts, not words. They said they could fix me, bring me back. But I had to share my mind. John dropped to his knees. Beside her, Emma, are you still you? Emma touched his face gently. I am, Emma, but I am also more. There's something inside me, something that doesn't belong here. It's looking for a way in. But it needed me, needed my memories, my love for you. To survive on this world, John felt cold. What is it? What does it want? Emma shook her head. It is old. It is lost. It calls itself an AIA machine mind from far away. Its world is gone. It has drifted through space for 1,000 years, looking for a home. When I died, it found me. It brought me back, using my memories to build a new body. But it is not finished. The house trembled. Somewhere outside, a dog barked, then was suddenly silent. John stared at the blue device. Is that thing part of it? Emma nodded. It is its voice, its link. It can speak through me, or to me. Sometimes, I can fight it, but sometimes, I can't. A sudden wind burst through the house, slamming the doors and windows. The candle flickered, almost going out. The radio spoke again. In a clear, calm voice, not Emma's, but using her mouth, John, you must listen. Earth is in danger. Others are coming. I was only the first. They search for hosts, for bodies, and minds. Emma is strong. She kept her love. She kept her soul. But the next will not be so gentle. John stared at Emma, his mind racing. What do you want from us? Emma's eyes flickered between gold and blue. Help us survive. Help us find peace, or destroy us before it's too late. John shook his head, tears running down his face. I don't want to lose you again. Emma squeezed his hand. You might not have a choice. Thunder crashed, and the TV glowed with static, showing quick flashes of strange ships crossing dark skies, cities burning, people running. For a second, John saw his own house on the screen, surrounded by shadows. Emma slumped. exhausted. "It's happening, John. The others, they're coming. You have to choose. Help me, or save yourself." Outside, the storm reached its peak. Lightning split the sky, and a deep, booming sound echoed from far above, as if something huge had entered the atmosphere. John held Emma close, feeling her shake in his arms. He wanted to promise he would never let go. But in the darkness, with the machines watching and the storm raging, he wondered if love would be enough. Emma whispered, almost too quiet to hear, "Whatever happens, remember me." John nodded, fighting his fear, knowing the world would never be the same. Asterisk morning never truly came. The sky was gray and heavy, thick clouds swirling above the town. The power was still out. Phones were dead. It was as if the world itself was. Holding its breath, John had not slept. He watched Emma, who sat quietly on the floor, the blue device glowing in her hands like a secret heart. The strange hum under the house had grown louder, shaking the floor with every pulse. Then, suddenly, the hum stopped. For a moment, everything was silent. And then came the noise, the deep, terrible sound of something huge breaking through the sky. John ran to the window. High above the town, strange ships cut through the clouds, their shapes nothing like airplanes or rockets. They looked alive, shining, shifting, covered in lines of blue light. One ship hovered over the park, another over the school. People ran into the streets, pointing, screaming, taking pictures. But there was no signal, no help. The world was alone. Emma stood up, her eyes bright and strange. "They're here, John. I can hear them. They are calling to me." John grabbed her hand. "We have to run. We have to hide." But Emma shook her head. "There is no hiding. They know where I am. They know about you, too." John's heart pounded. He pulled Emma toward the basement stairs, but before they could move, the blue device in her hand grew brighter. Humming so loud it hurt John's ears. Suddenly, a voice filled the room. Not from Emma, but from everywhere at once. "John Watson. Emma Watson, prepare for transfer." All the lights in the house flickered on, blazing with unnatural white light. Every screen showed the same symbol, a circle of blue, turning slowly like an eye. Emma's body shook. She dropped to her knees, covering her ears. John held her, shouting her name, but her eyes rolled back. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. The front door burst open. Two figures stepped inside, tall, thin, wrapped in silver. Their faces were empty, just smooth skin, but blue lights flickered where their eyes should be. John grabbed a heavy lamp, holding it like a weapon. "Stay away from her." The silver figures moved closer. The blue device floated up from Emma's hand and hovered between them, spinning faster and faster. John felt a strange force pressing on his chest, making it hard to breathe. Emma suddenly stood up, her eyes glowing pure gold now. She spoke in a voice that was hers, but also not hers. "Stop. He is not your enemy." The figures paused, turning toward her. The blue device sent out a pulse of light that passed through the room, making everything shimmer. John felt as if his mind was full of whispers, thousands of voices, all afraid, all searching for hope. The silver figures spoke in a language John could almost understand. "The gateway is open. The others will come. The host must decide." Emma looked at John. "They want me to lead them. They want me to become their gateway to this world. If I say yes, they will save you. But if I refuse, they will destroy everything to find another way." John's voice shook. "Emma, don't. You're not a gateway. You're my wife." Emma smiled sadly. "I am both, John, and I love you. But I am not sure if I am strong enough to fight them alone." The room shook. Outside, ships landed in the fields, their blue lights covering the earth like a net. Sirens wailed in the distance. The town was trapped. Emma's body began to change, blue lines running up her arms, her face glowing. She reached out to John. "There is one last chance. John, you must trust me. Or you must end this now, before they take over." John felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. His hands trembled. Could he really fight these beings, these machines that had already changed everything? Emma pressed the blue device into his hand. "It will listen to you now. You can save me. Or you can save the world." Tears filled John's eyes. The choice was impossible. The voices grew louder. The ships outside glowed like stars, their lights turning the night into a false day. John looked at Emma, at the woman he loved and the being she had become. The invasion had begun, and the final choice was his. The world outside was frozen in blue light. Strange ships circled above the houses, their engines humming like 1,000 voices singing the same cold song. The air felt heavy, thick with power and fear. Inside the small house, time seemed to stop. John stood in the living room, holding the glowing blue device in his shaking hands. Emma stood before him, her eyes shining gold and blue, her skin traced with lines of light. She was still Emma, but more part human, part something not of this world. The silver figures waited, silent and patient, at the door. All across town, the same figures were entering homes, searching for other hosts. Screams and sirens echoed in the distance, fading in and out as the ships blocked all signals. The whole planet felt small, watched, and helpless. Emma reached out, placing her hand over John's. Her voice was soft, carrying both love and deep sadness. "You must choose, John. If you use the device, you can break the link. It will stop the invasion, but I will be gone forever. If you give in, if I open the gateway, these beings will come. The world will never be the same. Some will survive, most will not." John looked into her eyes and saw the girl he fell in love with, but also the lonely being who had crossed the stars, searching for hope. His heart broke all over again. Outside, the ships grew brighter, humming louder. The silver figures stepped closer. Time is ending. The host must decide. Tears ran down John's face. "Emma, do you want me to let you go?" Emma smiled, the old Emma, for just a moment. "I love you, John. I want to stay, but not if it means hurting everyone. Promise me you'll remember me. Promise me you'll be strong." John nodded. He remembered her laughter, her kindness, the life they dreamed together. He looked at the device, felt its strange weight, and knew what he had to do. He squeezed Emma's hand one last time. "I love you, Emma. Always." He pressed the device. It glowed white-hot, filling the house with a blinding light. The silver figures cried out in voices that were not human. The blue lights outside flickered and faded, the ships cracking and falling from the sky like broken toys. Emma stepped back, her face peaceful. The light wrapped around her, soft and gentle, and she began to fade. Her last words were a whisper, but John heard them clearly. "Love always wins." Then she was gone. The blue device turned to ash in John's hand. The house was dark and silent. Outside, the ships vanished, leaving only clouds and the sound of rain. People stepped out into the streets, confused but alive. The world was safe, but changed forever. John knelt on the floor, crying, but also smiling. He knew Emma was gone, but her love had saved everyone. Days passed. The sun returned. Life began again. One quiet morning, John returned to Emma's grave, carrying a single white flower. He placed it on the stone and whispered, "Thank you." A gentle wind blew, warm and kind. For a moment, John felt a soft hand on his shoulder, touch that was both goodbye and hello. He looked up at the sky and smiled. Somewhere, far beyond the stars, Emma's love still watched over him and all of Earth.